Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Something a little different this week. As you may or may not know, I am a volunteer at one of the local museums. It's the MAPS Museum at the Akron-Canton Airport in Greene, Ohio. Very cool air museum, highly recommend it if you're ever in the area and want to go. But as part of my volunteer work, I am currently assisting in the motor pool. We have multiple vehicles, different military vehicles from different eras, and they all have to be kept up and running. So I am currently working on a 1947 Dodge M37 3/4 ton truck. Vehicle actually runs, it fires right up every time I go to start it. But the issue is the carburetor, it seems to be pretty well gummed up or something along those lines, because while it does start up and run, it will not take acceleration tip in unless you have the choke in about a third to halfway. If you have the choke all the way open, it just bogs when you hit the gas. So what I'm going to be doing here is I brought the carburetor home and I'm going to be disassembling it, cleaning it, and I do have a rebuild kit. So I'm going to walk through the rebuild of this single barrel carburetor. So there was a lot of noise going on in the hangar, so I'm just kind of doing a quick voiceover. I just want to do a real quick walk around to show you the truck that I pulled the carburetor off of. So pretty neat, piece to have in the museum. Also, I'm kind of just doing a little overview of the engine bay, which you'll see here in a minute, so I can kind of remember where everything was. This is an old school engine with an oil bath air cleaner, things like that. It's not in bad shape, but it's definitely been used over the years. Lots of people have wrenched on it over time, things like that. So yeah, that was just a quick little walk around of it, and then you're going to see here I'm coming back right before pulling the carburetor off after I've removed the air cleaner, just doing another quick overview of where all the lines went and where everything was run. This was filmed right before I got ready to start pulling the carburetor off and take it home so I could do the rebuild, which I will be walking through next. So just wanted to show you what the truck looked like before I pulled the carb off. So here we are back at my house. This is the ETW1 carburetor. It's a single barrel carburetor. I believe it's made by Carter for Chrysler. It's got the stamping on it, saying, made for Chrysler, blah, 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 blah. It's single barrel, pretty basic design. There's really no adjustment on it other than an idle screw, which you can see there. You adjust that one just to set basically the idle RPM and mixture, but that is about it. You can see in the external workings, this is the vacuum for the accelerator pump, and this is where the accelerator pump would be. Here's your float bowl inside here, your main fuel inlet, and that's really about it. This is your choke control right here, and then you have a governor, which is a mechanical governor that the military used. Then this is the linkage that would go to the actual throttle linkage from the truck. It's just been pulled off of the linkage that's existing on the truck. So you would have this pipe here go to your oil bath air filter, which would be sitting up here, and then this is where it mounts onto the intake manifold itself. So pretty straightforward design. As far as getting the thing running, like I said, it did run, just did not run that well. When I was messing with it, I did find a lot of loose hardware. This screw was loose, I was able to tighten it. This one appears to be stripped out. It does not hold thread or tension or anything like that, so that's something I'll have to fix. These are notorious for accelerator pump issues, leaking or getting stuck, as well as vacuum leaks due to flange issues or the loose hardware, things along those lines. So what I'm going to start and doing is trying to get the exterior cleaned up as much as possible, just so there's less contaminants when I start taking it apart. And then I'm going to get this top removed from the float bowl and see how things look on the inside. Like I said, I do have a carburetor repair kit. This has got gaskets, all the internals, things like that. I will go through it more once I am ready to start messing around with it. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing cleaned up. Spent a little time going over everything, got a lot of the exterior stuff cleaned off pretty well, so I'm at the point now where I am comfortable with starting to try to remove some of these screws and get that top bowl off, or the top of the float bowl off. So I'm going to go ahead, start the disassembly, and I will come back once it is split. Real quick, just for documentation purposes, all the fasteners are out. So to take the top off of the float bowl, you have two that come up from the bottom, and these both are a 3/8 wrench head, because it's easier to get there. There's one right here, and then one on the other side. So those are the ones that come up from the bottom on each side of the actual inlet horn. And then coming from the top, the two here are the shorter flathead rounds. The two on each side of the accelerator pump here are longer flathead rounds. And then you have one in the center, which is this long needle. All those need to come out, and then once those are out, the top will come off. Top is off, and yeah, no wonder this thing ran like crap and was bogging and whatnot. So here's the accelerator pump, and I'm using a floodlight, just trying to get you as much light as possible. That seal is definitely all deteriorated. That is, the actual pump for the accelerator pump. Yeah, rough shape there. And looking in the bowls, you can see how much gunk is in this carburetor from all the years of sitting and whatnot. Again, this thing has about 47,000 miles on it, but it is a 1947, so do the math on how old this truck is. So it is understandable that there is a lot of buildup and debris and junk in this carb. So definitely makes sense as to why it's not running well. So yeah, I got my work cut out for me getting this thing cleaned up. I will walk through the replacement of parts. I have the kit that has the new accelerator pump and all the new internals and things along those lines. But first, I definitely need to get some cleanup work done on this housing, as well as figure out if I can repair the threads where this hole is stripped. It's this hole here that I'm trying to focus on to the right under the right float bowl. That's the one that will not take a thread, so I have to see about getting that repaired so I can get this thing to seal up. But yeah, this is what I'm dealing with. This is a lot of cleaning I have to do, so I will give an update once I have an update. I went ahead and removed the lower throttle plate from the float housing. Pretty straightforward. There are two bolts that come in from the top. They're the two longer ones there, and then one from the bottom. It's, these three holes here, here, and here. The bottom one that comes upward is the shorter one. So just a heads up on that, and that way you can just get a little more access to things. Do a better job cleaning. So I can concentrate now on the float bowl area, get this cleaned up really good, and then go from there. Working on disassembly, it's pretty straightforward. I've already removed this assembly, which just pulls out, the main body comes out of here, and then the needle goes into that jet right there. And then on this side, the fuel inlet, which is actually also the float stop right here, just screws in from the side. It was a 9/16 wrench to pull that out. Pretty straightforward. And as I am taking things out, I'm looking at the parts I have in my new parts kit, which are sitting right here, making sure I have matches of everything. This is that one assembly, the needle valve that goes in the center of the top that I took out before. This right here is the fuel inlet with the float or the valve and the proper gasket matching up to what came out of it there. So just keeping an eye on things. Next I'm gonna do is get the float out. There's this little U-clip that holds it in. So I'm gonna start getting this assembly removed. Again, matching things up to parts that I have in my parts kit. I have a new one of those U-assemblies, some other stuff. And here's my accelerator pump like I was showing you. Nice leather bound on the bottom there to seal it. Whereas this one, it is all deteriorated and missing. You can actually see the spring under there, and it's just falling apart in my fingers. So anyway, back to disassembly. And I'm going to go in some detail here because I'm using this for myself for reassembly purposes as well. But down this shaft here where I pulled that body out, there's a long spring, and then there's a ball inside of that spring, which you can see the long spring and ball there in the parts kit. Those go down here. And then there is a long, tall jet there that I'm going to remove and then come back after that's removed. All right, those two removed, the spring, the ball, this jet here, the tall one, and then I just removed this one from this hole right here, and next is going to be the jet there. All right, this is what came out of there. And then the last one that appears to be is the one that comes in from this side, and there is a little ball there that I'm sure is going to come out when I remove that, so just wanted to get that recorded in advance. I'm going to get that removed, and should be everything on this assembly. All right, this is the plug that came out of that side there. That ball did not come out. It feels like it's pretty well set into place. I pushed on it, did not want to pop out or anything, so that may not be the one that's in the parts kit. I'm not 100% sure. There are also end plugs and things in the parts kit because you can see There's like aluminum plugs from the ports from when this thing was assembled, so they could drill through and then just plug the ends. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to get those plugs out. I'm debating on it, but like most of them are pretty mangled. So I think the only way they're gonna come out is if I drill them. So I'll have to think about if I wanna go that extreme or not. Yeah, we'll come back to that in a minute. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on the upper, get that accelerator pumping things out of there, get it disassembled as much as I can. All right, mystery solved on that second little check ball. Here's what I removed from the carburetor. This small ball and that spring came out of this hole here, which was the one that was under this plug. So just to give you a heads up, that's right next to the accelerator pump. There is a jet that goes there, and under that jet will be a very, very soft spring, which there's not one of these in the kit that I've seen as of yet. And this check ball, which there is that check ball in this kit. So just something for reference. So it's gonna be time to start cleaning up the float housing, but just to give you an idea, this is all the gunk that came out loosely when I dumped this upside down. There's still a ton of garbage in there. You can't really see it, but like the accelerator, pump and stuff, that is just full of debris in the bottom. So this is gonna need to get soaked pretty good and cleaned, and then I can come back and work on it some more, but I still do need to get back to the top assembly and finish pulling that apart. Well, it is no wonder this thing was not, where it was running really lean when you tried to tip in, because this accelerator pump, it is frozen solid in here. It's not coming out, and you know, as you can see, the down here, this portion is just basically breaking apart in pieces as I'm messing with it. So I'm probably gonna have to try and squirt some penetrating oil in there, see if I can get it out. Here's basically what a new one looks like. That's the replacement. And this is the piston that is wedged up in the shaft and not coming out. It is frozen solid at this point. So I'm gonna have to mess with this and see if I can get it to come loose. And old pump is out. Basically what I ended up just doing is getting a pair of duckbill pliers, putting them between the spring as close up to the bottom as I could, and just kind of wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And it finally worked itself loose. But you can see there is like varnish buildup and stuff on the top of this, around the sides of the cylinder. So it was definitely bound up in there. Now it's starting to pick up a few of the things off of the towel, but like you can see there and whatnot, that there was definitely some buildup causing this to just bind up a little bit. One item I just noticed I forgot is there is a little jet that is in the bottom of this bowl here under the float. Goes right in the center. You need to use a 5/16 like quarter drive socket, and you can get this out. There will be a replacement for it in the new rebuild kit. That is how I realized I forgot it when I was going through parts. All right, last thing I did was remove some of these plugs. It's pretty easy to remove. You basically just use like a chisel or something with a wedge, hammer it underneath the lip that's sticking out, and they'll come out pretty easily. So I removed 3 from this body. Let's get it flipped around. 1 right to there, 1 right there, and then 1 right there. And it's these 3 that you see right here, and they match up with new ones that came with the rebuild kit, those there. There's a 4th one that came with the rebuild kit that's much larger, and I can't find anything that this matches up to, so it may be one of those things where it's for a slightly different model. If this kit covers multiple models, I'm thinking maybe it's if this thing did not have a drain on it, maybe it would go in there. I don't know. But I looked on this body, can't find any other spot where that would go in. So as far as I am concerned, this is completely stripped down and ready to go as far as I'm going to go with it. So I am going to start cleaning and get to work on that. What I am going to do though is end this video here, because this is a pretty long video just going through the breakdown and disassembly. I'll start a new video with the cleaning and reassembly. So if you want to follow along, see what all is involved in this process, please hit like, please hit subscribe, please hit the notification bell. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section. I do read them and review them, and I will reply. With that being said, thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.